good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolute honor and privilege for me to host this show. So why the name Crew Room Conversations? Maybe Indian Air Force is the only place in the whole of the world wherein you have this concept called as Crew Room, where officers in the unit exchange notes and exchange their learnings. There's a lot of storytelling that happens, and most importantly, there's a lot of connect between people. So I decided that let me go back to my friends from the Indian Air Force and let me get some of the best officers of the Indian Air Force on the show who will share their experiences on a lot of variety of topics. And today it's my proud privilege to welcome my guest for this particular show, my dear friend, Group Captain Guruprasad and Squadron Leader Deepa Mohamed. Other than being exceptional professionals and very, very, very effective leaders, they are great human beings and they are great friends. We have served together. So welcome, Guru, and welcome, Deepa.
Thanks, Nitin. Thanks for having me here. It's indeed a privilege and a wonderful opportunity to meet up with you like this online. It's definitely a pleasure.
Hi, Nitin, and hi, Guru. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Nitin, for giving us this platform and bringing all of us together. It's such a pleasure to see you and Guru after such a long time. Thanks. Pleasure is all mine.
So it's going to be just a free-flowing conversation the way we would do about 5, 7, 10 years back. So Guru Prasad has got an exceptionally brilliant career, known to be one of the most significant achievers during his times. So Guru, just take us around from your main highlights of your career, if I was to ask you such.
Okay, Nitin, it was like, a dream come true for me when I joined the Air Force. Thereafter, it was all rolling. In fact, I must say this, always looking forward to doing something new, something more, and to the best of my abilities. So after we got commissioned, we all went to a fighter training establishment in the east, the northeast, and trained there for about a year. Thereafter, moved to our first operational squadron. In any pilot's career, his first operational squadron has a special place, and that happens to be 21 Squadron, then positioned at Chandigarh, was very special for me. And that's where I found my lady love and my wife. From there on, moved to a place in the west, that's in Gujarat, Naliya. Okay. And after about 3 years from there, from all the way west to the east, back again to a place called Hashimara, very close to West Bengal, Assam border. Those 5 years, I can easily say one of the golden years of my career. From there, I stepped on further to become a pilot attack instructor and then become a qualified flying instructor, moving to Air Force Academy at Hyderabad to train the young ab initios. And then from there, moved on to flying instructor school at Tambram in Chennai, where we were staff, so-called, you can say, instructor of instructors or trainer of trainers. And then from there, moved on to a coveted appointment or position, you can say, to represent the country in the US, in the Air Command and Staff College.
Yeah, sure.
It was one of the highlights, I must say, because I learned a lot in that 1 year and the learning was immense. So as to come back and give it back to the Air Force.
Yeah.
That's one. And from there on, I went on to command Fighter Squadron in Pathankot. And I was very fortunate, I must say. I must thank the Air Force with all earnest that they saw that I could probably be an Air Force examiner and for 3 tenures. Which gave me immense satisfaction because I could see the length and breadth of the Air Force, understand what exactly is the requirement, how things move on, and I was only adding my bit to make this Air Force a more special place.
Great. So my compliments to Guru for leading such a wonderful life. And coming to Deepa, you were one of the first women officers or lady cadets who joined the Indian Air Force. So take us through your journey as such.
Thank you so much, Nitin. You said I'm from the Pioneer, the first batch of women officers who joined in technical branch. And now this question, the very question has taken me back to 92 December. The entire journey started with that SSB. Coming from a typical, so-called civilian background, no idea what SSB means, no training whatsoever. But we just went for that SSB with that passion and dream in the mind. And one first day onwards of SSB, you start getting into that groove and you just want to join it. So that friendship starts from there. So we were posted directly to Air Force Technical College, our alma mater. Almost a year, the specific aeronautical engineering training. From Bangalore, AFTC, I was moved to, my first posting came to Pune.
Oh.
From Pune, I moved to Ambala, the biggest cantonment in India. From Ambala, I moved to AFA. So I've also served in Air Force Academy, Dundigal. From there, we moved to far east, Tezpur in Assam. That was also a very wonderful tenure. And from there, then I moved back to one of the, very busy and the front bases in Western Air Command, Adhampur. And that's where I retired after 11 years of my service as squad leader, after my SSC tenure got over. So that has been my journey so far.
Excellent. So I'm sure all across the Air Force, when it comes to the first batch of women officers who ever got commissioned, your name, Deepa, for sure is there, and an exceptional innings in the Air Force. Guru, from an audience perspective, could you just throw a light on what is it exactly to be a fighter pilot? Because you've flown the MiG-21. So just take us through a little bit about understanding of what it is to fly that aeroplane.
Okay, Nitin, fighter flying is unlike anything else, probably, yes. I'm not trying to put off my other brothers who fly the transport and helicopters. But then, yes, fighter flying demands a lot out of you in terms of physical, mental, and, forward thinking. Once I got to fly in a fighter aeroplane, I realized that what needs to be done is forward planning. That means if you're not thorough on ground, you cannot be good in the air. Because it's a single cockpit, okay, other than the trainers, of course. In a single cockpit, you have to do everything, be it from a normal, standard, routine flying to something new that emerges. So it's speed, number one. It's not just speed of the aeroplane, it's speed of your thoughts, speed of your actions when it comes to that.
Sure.
This degree of difficulty, if I may say so, keeps increasing with the number of aeroplanes increasing in the air. That is what you train for.
Right.
You need to fly and train as a group to be able to do combat in the air, eventually if the balloon goes up.
Yeah.
And gather and keep the team together in the air. That was what was more challenging. So from one aircraft, we went to two aeroplanes, from two aeroplanes to three aeroplanes, from three aeroplanes to four aeroplanes. Right. And from four aeroplanes to at times 10 aeroplanes in a package.
Right.
At 22 aeroplanes in a package.
Right.
So what comes your way is that multiple situations and how you fathom them and how you decipher who's your friend, who's your foe. And of course, there are always ATC and other radars that are helping you out. But then at that point in time, it's just hitting the roof. Sure. And you feel like you're on top of the world.
Yeah. No, I can well, visualize Guru being a part of the Indian Air Force and being in the flying branch. And all across the Air Force, one of the philosophies that the Air Force, both of you will agree with me, has been, let us step forward, let us make a plan, let us start to implement it. And as per the evolving situation, let us be flexible in our thought. Because if you are flexible in our thought as leaders, then automatically you will be able to deploy more resources, maybe reduce the resources, have some alternative thinking, have some alternative narrative, so that you can quickly tune to the situation. So Deepa, here I'm going to ask you, to explain to us, you were from the electronics branch of the engineering. So what exactly does the electronics branch of engineering, and how does it, get into the whole sphere of flying as such?
Great. Nitin, you just heard Guru said, the radars used to assist. So I feel very proud and blessed that we were supposed to take care of those radars and the ground control approach system in totality, which constitute of basically two radars. One is precision approach radar, and other one is the surveillance radar, which helps specifically the fighter flying operations, which assist in that. So I used to take care of all this navigational aids, signals related communications, and primarily this ground control approach radar. So the maintenance, the serviceability, keeping the technical breakdown as low as possible. That was my charter of duties. So
Sure.
that's very essential in terms of, the flying operations cannot go on that smoothly unless and until these navigational aids and these radars and these equipments and communications are not in order. So that was the major part of my tenure at various airfield bases, specifically in the fighter bases.
Yeah, we seldom realize when we are into the system as such that to make one aeroplane fly, there is a huge amount of work that's going at the back end, right from the ATC, the GCA, the radar operators, the runway controller, and you just have to work backwards to understand that finally the person who's actually waving off the chocks and putting his throttle to the taxi
Absolutely.
position, there is a huge amount of machinery and a system is in place to make that person actually get airborne. So yes, we seldom realize when we are in the Air Force, but when we get out, that's kind of an awakening that comes to us, and that's a need of the hour. So, Guru, I'm going to ask you a specific
Thank you.
question. I know this fact for sure that you are one of the good storytellers that I have met in the Air Force. Is there any typically an anecdote, a story, Guru, or an impact that you had as a leader, and something that has remained with you for last so many years, a difference you made to somebody's life, or you witnessed it, or something that you would really that's close to your heart, if you could share with us?
Yeah, Nitin, actually, if I may correct you, probably you are the best storyteller that I know of. There can't be anyone better than you, okay?
Yes.
Uh, I will say that, yeah, see, in the entire span of 24 years, there have been a lot of instances where I can count on how I was impacted, one, with the situation and how people helped me out. Secondly, that yes, how I could make a small difference to few people. If I may tell you that when I was adjutant, right, adjutant at one of the bases when I was a young flight lieutenant, who's in charge of HR of the squadron, not HR of the station. It's just a squadron, okay? People were going through something called delayed operational efficiencies were not at their best. So operations would get delayed. So I decided to jump in and take it, you may say, a bull by the horns, and wanted to get deeper and deeper into it as to why this happens. Where we could have finished our 3 details of flying and packed up by about 2:30, having come at 5:30 in the morning. Now things were getting extended to about 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock at times, and that has kind of stress on people, because when it happens day in day out, it adds to stress. So there I put in my best, and I realized that the breakfast and the lunch that comes into the people from the messes was getting delayed, and it was getting delayed for various reasons. And probably it did not require an adjutant to jump in. Probably it could have been done at a lower level. But then I said, now that I have decided to do it, I will do it. So I streamlined the system in a manner that the Gadi was to be there 1 hour before or 45 minutes before, so that the breakfast and the lunch is picked up in time, so that the people, the air warriors who work on the aeroplanes, they don't go hungry for a long time. They're not starving for an hour, hour and a half, while they were more than willing to even put in their effort. But what happens is, when you don't have your meals in time, your efficiency comes down over a period of time. So I decided to push in and then manage this over a period of time, and put a couple of people on the job who could monitor and give me a feedback.
Yeah.
This straight away ensured that people were very happy, and they could come back to do their job after the breakfast or lunch, and then be available for operations.
Yeah.
So there is no loss of time, and we could easily get what we wanted, finish off what we wanted in time, efficiently, and then go home happy.
Yeah.
So it's not just at the officer level, even at the level of airmen who toil day in, day out. I made a difference as a youngster.
Yeah.
Probably I can pick up few more when I became a CO or something like that. When I was commanding the squadron, for the first time after a gap of 24 years, I was told that I should do training of the people who come directly after commissioning on the fighter aeroplanes in that place.
Right.
Stopped 24 years ago.
Yeah.
Because of various reasons, very well known to the Air Force, but the Air Force said because of the constraints, whatever we had at that time, they wanted me to start it all over again.
Yeah.
Initially, I had my own apprehensions, to be honest, but then I sat down with my team, my flight commanders and my technical officers and my STO, in fact, and went over the entire thing threadbare.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then decided we will take on this job, which required, of course, supervision to its highest, probably at its highest level.
Sure.
You know. So and it eventually worked out. It eventually worked out so well that people who came in there were so happy, happy that, and in fact, even the headquarters was so happy that we managed to train those guys to the requisite degree in the possible time that was already given to us.
Right.
That was really heartening. That's what really heartening. So you take on a job and you do it well. So it really talks about the teamwork.
Yeah.
I think I had a wonderful team to back me everywhere. So I think kudos to the team more than it. You can. It's not about.
That's what makes you a different leader, Guru. Needless to say that you did a fantastic job. Deepa, coming to you, is there any specific incident, and why I'm asking this from a point of view of you entered into an area or you entered into a profession where you were just a few of you. So when you got trained, there were a couple of you together, and then you got separated out to various stations. So from that time onwards to your 10 years, any specific incident that you would like to narrate?
Thanks, Nitin. There are numerous incidents, but of course, considering the paucity of time, there are two incidents which comes to my mind. First is we used to have only 2 months of maternity leave. See why I'm mentioning that, because now the things are very much streamlined, and we are as par with a lot of government institution in depending upon the maternity acts and other things.
Yeah.
During our times, we didn't have any precedents. So we had only 2 months, and the third month we only used to get if in case if we are able to justify that there is some problem.
Right.
So, with the pioneer, there is a lot of responsibility also comes to you. If you do not do for your future generation of women officers, if you do not make the life comfortable, somehow the onus also lies on us. At that time, I wrote an application. I did a lot of research on that. I read a lot of other air forces in Word, and then I made a paper and I sent it to Ministry of Defense. And I'm talking about 1999. And at that time, not only my entire, the chain of command and all male officers, all of them supported me. So for me, that, they could associate with my reasoning of writing for a cause, which is only a woman specific. I think it left us such an important mark on me, that how everybody supported me. And through the proper chain of command, it went to Ministry of Defense, and I got a proper response that they are considering it. So I felt, I still, till date, you feel very nice, because we were just a youngster flight lieutenant at that time. Yes. So that is one incident. And second incident which comes to my mind, like Nitin, in coaching, when we are doing coaching, they say that, the quality of your life depends on quality of questions you ask to yourself and the people around you. So I think I had that thing quite early in my life. I still remember in 2002, if I'm not wrong, Guru might correct me, there was a fatal fighter crash in Bagdogra, where CEO and one of the youngsters, we lost both of them. So that was a major demotivating thing, because when a CEO and they could not land, it's happened in Bagdogra because of adverse weather conditions and a lot of landing aids and a lot of, the things didn't work that way. I won't go into technicality. Right. So I still remember I was in Adampur, and the CNC, if you have to compare with a corporate counterpart, it's like you have a global CEO, then you have a regional CEO. So he is like a regional CEO, and I was just like a senior executive. And there was a big meeting of 300 officers, and it's like a big town hall, and he's speaking, we are brainstorming, there was a lot of things happening. And of course, it was more of a top-down kind of approach. And I just stood up and I said that, can we take a pause, and I have a point to make. And there was stunned silence, because I was just a flight lieutenant, and there was a CNC of WAC was sitting there. but I must give it to him. He said, yes, young lady, please go ahead and tell me what's there in your mind.
Right.
Then I said that, for making these operations successful, what we need is the entire infrastructure helping all these flyers. And that's where these navigational aids, which are so outdated, we need to invest in buying some new radar. And that's the point which I would like to make. And that will be so much motivating and helpful in making the operation safe. And he listened to me, and I felt listened. I felt that yes, somebody's listening to my point even at such a young thing. And believe me, even in corporate, it's not easy to say when your global CEO or of your regional CEO comes and you are speaking. So I think Air Force has been pretty accommodating in terms of, if anything, logical, or if you speak something with courage of conviction.
Right.
So these two incidents have really been very close to my heart.
Sure. And I'm just picking up threads from both of you and saying, finally, the person on ground. So in Guru's case, Guru explained about he being the adjutant. In your case, you explained about being a flight lieutenant. I think one of the most important organizational culture that we really encourage is the person on ground needs to take a call. And that's what is very, very evident in both your anecdotes, your stories that you said.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Guru, how was it in your United States Staff College? Because you topped the course, and I'm conscious of the fact that I don't know the numbers, but there are a few hundred people who appear for the Staff College entrance exam, and the number one in the country is privileged to represent the country in US. So by no lesser this thing, it's been an achievement by itself. But after you interacted with the foreign air forces as such, what are your reflections and experiences if you were to compare our Staff College or what we call professional military education in India versus the US?
Yeah, Nitin, actually, US Staff College, this is the A Command and Staff College, where only the Air Force officers attend the college, right? But very few of the US other service officers also attend. But apart from that, in all, there are about 480 plus participants, okay? It's like similar to our staff college as far as the strength is concerned. But then the beauty of it is US calls people from almost 70 plus countries. So we had like 80 odd participants from various foreign countries. So they come friendly foreign countries, right?
Yeah.
When I reached there, I was one amongst the 480, okay? But then as the time went by, I realized that what we do, the way we train in our Air Force, the way we get to the bottom of things is far, far different from what other Air Forces do.
Okay.
We are unique and we do it a lot better than many, many of those guys. US is there at the top. Everybody knows about it. They're there because of their systems, the technology, which is way, way ahead of what we have. We borrow technology, right? Even today we buy them, whereas US manufactures them. So they are a shade ahead.
Right.
I said, just because they're shade ahead doesn't make them very good or the best, okay? So I tried to fathom out what they do differently than the Indian Air Force.
Sure.
While we have a broad spectrum in terms of we are good at the bookish knowledge, we are good at execution when it comes to executing the things the way they should be done on the ground or in the air. And finally, the satisfaction and the culmination and the bonhomie that we share with non-officer ranks, okay, officers, non-officer cadre, okay, that you may call. And inter-branch bonding,
okay,
it's far better in the Indian Air Force than any other Air Forces probably we see around, okay?
Right.
And when I met up with these officers, there were frequent interactions and there were cultural engagements in terms of to know them even more better. I realized that Indian Air Force does it far better, except that the US Air Force trains in a practical manner because they are able to put them on a say computerized version of things and then bring out the results the way they do. We are not very far behind, just that we do it in a little more methodical manner, not using technology to a great extent. Probably it was at that time. Now we are almost at the forefront of using such technologies, and I realize that we are number one. Except for professional military education, yes, I picked up a lot of things from there and put it in my debrief when I came in back in here in India. And I'm happy to say that there were people who listened to me, who paid heed to what I had written in my paper. And in 2 years' time from then, they were implemented in our staff college to make it even better. Right. We were doing very well. Our staff college is one of the best, I can tell you this. Sure. But by getting my experiences from the US and then trying to make, you can say, fine difference, that the knife edge difference to our staff college was a highlight.
Sure. No, so two things, one, like we've discussed this before also after you came back from the US. And I think a constant upgradation has been one of the most important elements of the Indian Air Force thinking. But you're also upgrading when somebody goes out and comes with a new idea, you are willing to listen, get back to the drawing board, understand how you can implement it. And that's what is moving ahead organization as such.
If I may, Nitin, I must tell you this.
Yes.
While the modern air forces, be it the US, be it the French Air Force or the United Kingdom, UK, they operate with fairly modern equipment in terms of their own systems, aeroplanes. But in India, we have a varied vintages, okay? Right from a MiG-21 to the best Su-30 and now Rafale probably, right? Yeah. But the way we use the systems to the fullest and the best possible manner is a highlight. No other Air Force in the world does it the way we do it. And it's exceptional. And I can bring to you, while I was doing the course, we had a red flag exercise where the Indian Air Force was participating in the US, right? In fact, I had the one-to-one chat with the people then on to get to know how they were doing. And just to bring to your notice, we did extremely well. In fact, we were the best. Even the US Air Force acknowledges this fact. The way we use our systems and our aeroplanes is one of the best probably in the world. And it is finally the man behind the machine, That's where our training comes into it. And I was happy to say that I am one of the trainers.
You got to make your recipe within the resources and within the items that are given to you. That's the best part of the Air Force. So Deepa will agree with me that what's there in the cafeteria, you whip up a best of your meal out of that, and here you go for the sortie. So Deepa, coming to you for the last question, and my thoughts are like this, Deepa, that you've been good amount of service in the Indian Air Force, then you moved out and a phenomenal career in the HR space. So if you were to draw some parallels from an OD concept, that you say the best practices. So what are your thoughts on picking up certain good practices from the Air Force and maybe implement it in the other part of the corporate?
That's such a remarkable question, and I think that's what is required, Nitin, because I see the lot of communication is required, and I think this talk show is a step towards bridging that gap, so that people are able to understand whether it is an Air Force or a corporate. There are so many transferable skills and transferable, knowledge and KRAs which can be come into corporate, and we can have a seamless, integration. What I've realized, like for example, I totally agree with Guru when he said the maximum utilization of resources. Our Guru Mantra used to be the poverty had to be, has to be shared. And I used to say, when will we become rich, and when will I have a good equipment to handle? But that is what is required. Whatever is available to you. And specifically now when we are in this COVID era, we know how the economy is there, how is the resources all over the world are, getting impacted. So I think that is one very pertinent knowledge which can come into effective utilization of resources, planning, camaraderie, mentoring, which we take it for so granted. Guru will agree with you, Guru has been a trainer and he's been a, instructor. So I know that everybody look up to instructor like anything. And we just take it for granted, and we don't realize that in corporate, when I first job, people used to feel that, I'm explaining things to them and kind of, being a good team leader, which I'll be very honest to say, I didn't realize that I was doing something exceptional.
Yeah.
Because that's the way my seniors in Air Force groomed me. That I always used to say the CAS approach, that correction, appreciation, and support. So let's say, okay, we are the tough love generation. The correction can be changed to corporate to feedback.
Right.
Appreciation is common everywhere, whether you do shabashi in defense or whether you do appreciation in corporate. When you talk about support is the one thing I think which was the differentiator in defense forces, especially in armed forces. Right. Even if you are a weak student or if you are not doing something, and Guru will be a better person to tell you in that, you support that person. Sure. That's where in corporate somehow we lack.
Of course. So thank you very much for throwing a light on this. So today when we are talking of topics like mentoring, counseling, coaching, essentially in the Air Force it is already ingrained. And at the end of the day, it's increasing your camaraderie between you. It's increasing the connect between you. And that's what makes us better teams. So that's how Guru Room conversations will continue. So on that note, I just want to say thank you very much. From the bottom of my heart, I'm thanking you, Deepa, as well as Guru. For all the viewers, it's a goodbye from me. We will be connecting with you on a fortnightly basis, bringing one of the best of the air warriors, like I said earlier. So stay tuned with us and take good care of yourself.
Thanks, Nitin. You too.
Thank you. Jai Hind.